So we're at Ovum's headquarters in London. I'm here with Alex Harrowell. Alex, you're heading to Mobile World Congress later this month. What are you going to be talking to people about in Barcelona? Because you're focused pretty much on the needs of the SME segment, is that right?
Yes, that's right. What we'll be talking about is our understanding of SMEs' fundamental needs in IT and telecoms. Based on Ovum survey research, we know that basically the top two priorities for SMEs across the industry verticals and across the size classes are much the same. The first of them is a complex of concerns around marketing, e-commerce, CRM, and essentially outreach to customers, customer service, and the whole complex of technologies that is used to drive sales and retain customers.
Okay.
This is obviously a fundamental feature of any business. The second is usually vertical specific, and it is basic, and it can be summed up as being about productive efficiency. That could be, for example, ERP, enterprise resource planning and manufacturing.
Yep.
It could be bid management and enterprise mobility in the construction trades. It could be some Internet of Things application in businesses that have something to do with utilities, although they're quite rare in this sector. But there's another concern which spreads much more widely than this, which is security.
Right, okay.
SMEs tend to have, again, going by our survey data, SMEs tend to have usually either one or two, and this is even going up to companies with over 100 employees, IT specialists, and as a result, not only are these people overworked and besieged by crisis, it's extremely unlikely that there's going to be any internal specialization. I mean, they're going to be just generic. They're going to be sort of generic, multi-skilled IT people.
They'll hear about the virus once it's hit everybody else and possibly them, I guess.
Exactly. Yes. And so we think there's an increasing need to bring more and more of the PC fleet in these companies, and indeed the server fleet, onto managed platforms such as Google Chromebook is one.
Okay.
Apple iOS is another, and they've made great strides in trying to break into the enterprise and SMB market. But there are also other possibilities. Something that might yet. I mean, Microsoft is moving in that direction with the Surface devices and Windows 10.
Okay.
But there's also possibilities that it can emerge from sort of the mobile device management systems of the telcos, or from the app stores, or from somewhere completely different.
Okay.
Now, but we see the future as being more service-based, more automated, and and from a security point of view, more reliant on managed security service providers who can provide a greater threat intelligence capability and also increasingly reach into operations to fix things.
Okay.
Because after all, it's easy enough to say you just need to patch, but patching can be a painful and disruptive process.
Absolutely.
Beyond this, one of the things that we'll be looking for specifically at MWC will be how we are going to use the new technologies like 5G, like network virtualization, to reach the SME market, because we see intense pressure on pricing in the higher end, in the enterprise and wholesale space. We see a sort of topping out or peaking of margins and revenues in the consumer smartphone space, and we also see an increasing pressure on the content business as well in the United States, which tends to be the bellwether for these things.
Right.
There's been a big shift of users from cable and satellite to the so-called MVPDs, to the IP-based video streaming, and this is, of course, and as a result, some of the operators are losing customers. Others have decided to hold on to their market share by slashing their prices. So, as a result, one of the places you have operators are now looking to for future growth is to take a bigger share of SME and enterprise ICT spending.
Right.
But the problem is, do they understand SMEs well enough to do this? Can they adapt the technology for it? And especially, although some of them have quite impressive consultancy offerings for large enterprises, can they scale? Can they both scale the technology up to cover the numbers of businesses they need to, and can they scale the technology down so as to, well, they scale the organisation and the process down
Yeah.
to make this deliverable at an acceptable price for a business of the size of, say, 50 people.
Yeah. So it's certainly been a holy grail for many decades to crack the SME market. But from your research, do you see any indication that the SMEs are ready to adopt managed services more now than before?
We saw strong evidence in the survey market, in the survey that yes,
Okay.
there is a lot of interest in IT outsourcing or external IT support, even from companies who already have some of their own IT support in house.
Right.
That said, there is a big issue about trust here.
Mm-hmm.
We found that the IT consulting industry is still the most trusted,
Yeah.
although the problem here is one of scaling down.
Right.
Because one wonders really what, say, IBM's services wing is going to offer to a business of 50 people.
Right. Right.
But one of the biggest problems is for telco operators, as there's a big trust gap to make up. This varies on a national basis, and also there seems to be a break around 100 employees.
Okay.
Companies of that size and above seem to get better service from telco operators than below,
Right.
quite significantly. But yeah, this is the problem for the operators in this space. They need to win the battle for trust, convince SMEs that they understand what they're doing, and I think at the lowest end, in the sort of micro business space, get used to the idea that they're not just big consumers.
Right. Right. Okay.
Because there's still a problem that people want to be seen, they want to be understood as fellow entrepreneurs and taken seriously.
Right.
Because it's just they're probably not interested in being offered a freebie on Sky Sports if something goes wrong.
Right. Okay. Well, if any telco does actually crack the SME market, please do let us know, especially if you find out about it at MWC. Alex, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.